institutional and enforcement fronts. 11 counties are at different stages of developing model alcoholic drinks control laws, with Nyandarua County having led the pace in securing full enactment of a now enhanced licensing and enforcement framework. Law enforcement officials found complicit in the manufacture and trade of illicit alcohol and substances have been severely disciplined already. The screening, rehabilitation, and reintegration of victims of alcohol and drug abuse has also been enhanced. But there have been some drawbacks. Last month, the country lost more than 20 lives in one village in Kirinyaga County to poison packaged as alcohol by the merchants of death. This, fellow Kenyans, is unacceptable. This trajectory must be contained before it escalates into a national disaster. For this reason, the government of Kenya has today, under the direction of His Excellency the President, convened all regional and county national government administration officers and security teams, including county police commanders from the Kenya Police Service, the Administration Police Service, and the Directorate of Criminal Investigations, backed by relevant sector regulators. The consultations have not only identified the internal failures and fractured approaches that have facilitated these vices, but similarly reiterated the critical role that the national administration and security architecture will now be required to play in the restoration of the dignity and utility to a generation that would otherwise be lost. As previously indicated, the trade, consumption, and abuse of illicit alcohol, narcotic drugs, and psychotropic substances now ranks as one of the 5 key national security threats that include terrorism, banditry and livestock rustling, cultural, religious, and political extremism, and climate change. And therefore, this war that we announce commencing today is a war about the future of Kenya. This war that we launch here today is about the viability and sustainability of our republic. We have therefore the duty to communicate to all members of the public that the war that we launch today is not just a time-bound operation, it's a perpetual war which will continue as long as Kenya exists, or as long as the problem exists, whichever comes earlier. Therefore, where we have placed terrorists who plot to harm our country, the organized criminals terrorizing parts of our country, pretending to be cattle thieves, where we have placed religious, cultural, and political extremists who have hurt the country so badly in the past, including the recent event in Shakahola. This is the same place we have placed all those in Kenya who are engaged in one way or the other in the manufacture, distribution, sale, and I dare say even consumption of illicit drugs, narcotics, psychotropic substances, and illicit liquor. And since this is about the future of the country, this is squarely a national security matter. This statement has taken time to situate why we are here. Right from the instructions of the President to his deputy, to the directives of the President through the National Security Council, and the rest of us. Therefore, any officer present here or watching from elsewhere who think this is the usual time-bound, periodic security operations is in for a rude shock. As I said, what we start today will continue as long as Kenya exists or as long as the problem exists, whichever comes earlier. If the problem goes earlier, we stop the operation. If it doesn't end, we continue with the operation until the end of the world. Therefore, the government has adopted a national security posture in the management of this scourge. And by this, it must be clarified that as a national security threat, politics, culture, religion, and other antecedents that always cloud our national conversations are removed from this matter. It is purely a law enforcement matter. It's not political, it's not ethnic, it's not religious, it has nothing to do even with the economics of our country. And some of the measures, you will understand, are measures that will include government losing revenue, if that will help us save the nation. In that regard, I am authorized to announce the following measures that will guide this very critical national survival exercise. 1, pursuant to Section 42K of the Preservation of Public Security Act, all licenses and certification permits for second-generation alcohol and alcoholic beverage distillers and manufacturers issued by the Kenya Revenue Authority and the Kenya Bureau of Standards stand suspended with immediate effect. All existing valid licenses will be vetted afresh within 21 days of this directive, with premises approved to resume operations only upon receipt of fresh approval. 2, pursuant to number 1 above, the Ministry of Interior and National Administration invites all currently licensed manufacturers and distillers to a meeting to be held on Tuesday, the 12th March 2024 at 10 a.m. on the above prescription. Due notification, including venue and agenda, will be communicated to those who this information relates. 3, fresh license applications shall require manufacturers to have quality control laboratories installed with gas chromatography, with flame ionization detectors. And this must be operated by competent laboratory analysts and tests incoming raw materials and finished products before releasing them to the market. The laboratories should register with a provider of inter-laboratory comparison and submit their quality control results to the Kenya Bureau of Standards on monthly basis. For the avoidance of doubt, fresh license applications shall require manufacturers to have quality control laboratories installed with gas chromatography with flame ionization detectors. Number 4, all alcohol manufacturers shall henceforth establish and document all traders in their distribution chain and have procedures for ensuring full traceability from factory to the consumer of alcoholic products manufactured for sale. All alcoholic products shall include traceability information, including manufacturer details, location, ingredients, and content. Number 5, the Kenya Bureau of Standards shall ensure that within 45 days, all industrial ethanol is denatured or marked with a denaturing agent known as denatonium benzoate to prevent diversion and or the accidental use of industrial ethanol in alcohol manufacture. Number 6, any licenses currently issued to bars and other outlets, premises by county governments that are contrary to the provisions of the Alcoholic Drinks and Control Act, especially as relates to licensing premises within residential areas and around basic educational institutions, are declared null and void. County security teams are to secure and shut down and seize such premises with immediate effect. The licenses that have been issued contrary to the Alcoholic Drinks Control Act, which is national legislation, which supersedes county legislation. Licensing of bars which are in residential areas, licensing of bars next to educational institutions, all those licenses are declared, and county security teams across the country must enforce the law that I have just cited with immediate effect. Number 7, no bars or alcoholic outlets shall be allowed to operate beyond the stipulated operation hours as provided for in Article 34 of the Alcoholic Drinks Control Act, failure to which the operator shall be fined or imprisoned as provided by law, and all the drinks and related accessories in the premises will be forfeited with accompanying licenses being revoked. I also need to clarify that the government has also engaged with the Director of Public Prosecutions and also other stakeholders, including the judiciary, all stakeholders in the administration of justice. And one of the results of that engagement is that the Director of Public Prosecutions has assured the country that its office will be going for auxiliary orders against those who perpetuate the vice of either manufacture, transportation, distribution, sale of alcohol. And those auxiliary orders, which are already provided in law, include forfeiture of any motor